Hey babies, welcome back to another Modern League. This week, in celebration of the new Kamigawa set, we're playing ninjas. The deck list we're playing with is on screen now and in the description below. It's relatively budget, being about 50 ticks to play on Moto, and let's get into the deck tech. Our 1-drop slot is filled with evasive creatures that work well with ninjutsu. We have 4 copies of Fairy Seer, which have flying, and when they enter the battlefield we scry 2, which is great because we can reuse that, picking it up with ninjutsu. We have 3 copies of Changeling Outcast, which count as a ninja for our buffs and our triggers and whatnot, and can't block and can't be blocked. And we have 2 copies of the new card Thousand Face Shadow. It is a 1/1 flying ninja for 1, and it says when you ninjutsu it in, you get to copy another one of your attacking creatures as a token that's also tapped and attacking. In our 2-drop slot, we have 4 copies of Silver Fur Master, which is the new Ninja Lord and also reduces all of our ninjutsu abilities by 1. And we have 4 copies of Spellstutter Sprite, which is some pretty good early game disruption, and we can also repeat it by picking it up with ninjutsu. Straddling the line between an enabler and a payoff, we have 1 copy of Biting Palm Ninja. We can use it to Thoughtseize our opponent, possibly repeatedly, and it also has a menace counter, which means we can use it to get in with other ninjas. We have 4 copies of Ingenious Infiltrator, which is really what makes this deck work at all. It says whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It can be a massive amount of card advantage, really, really sweet. And we have 2 copies of Ninja of the Deep Hours, which is essentially the original version of Ingenious Infiltrator. It draws a card when it deals damage. Still pretty good, but we're just playing 2 of them. As our top end, we have 1 copy of Fallen Shinobi and 1 copy of Higger the Stillwind. Fallen Shinobi is a pretty sweet card out of Modern Horizons that says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library, and then you can cast those cards without paying their mana cost. Can be a really good source of card advantage, but it can also just completely alter the course of a game if you get something big with it. And Higger the Stillwind is like our ninja toolbox guy. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you can search your library for a ninja card and put it in your hand, and he can also give your ninjas unblockable. For our spells, we have 4 copies of Fatal Push for cheap removal, 4 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek for cheap early game interaction, and 4 copies of Drown in the Loch as a way to both interact with spells on the stack and possibly be more removal if we need it. In our mana base, we have 4 copies of Clearwater Pathway, 4 copies of Drowned Catacomb, and 4 copies of Watery Grave. For manlands, we have 2 copies of Creeping Tar Pit and 1 copy of Fairy Conclave. Creeping Tar Pit has actual unblockable and is a dual land in our colors, which is really nice. Fairy Conclave costs a bit less to activate and also ups our fairy count for Spellstutter Sprite, which is pretty nice synergy too. And rounding off the mana base, we have 4 basic islands and 3 basic swamps. In our sideboard, we have 2 copies of Nile Spellbombs for graveyard decks and 2 Spell Pierce for combo decks. We have 4 Spreading Seas for Tron and Urza Saga decks, 2 copies of Hurkyl's Recall for pretty much any artifact deck, and 1 copy of Skull Snatcher as a ninja that hates on graveyard decks too. 2 copies of Necromentia to get rid of problematic cards before they even get played, 1 copy of Mistblade Shinobi as a way to gain tempo against creature decks, and 1 copy of Plague Engineer as another great play against creature decks. And that's the deck list. If there's anything you'd change, let me know what you'd think in the comments, and let's get into the games. All right, round 1 of Budget Ninjas in Modern. We have blue and black land, we have a couple 1-drops, a piece of removal, something to ninjutsu end, something top end. Might as well keep this, I think. We are relatively budget ninjas. I did decide to keep Shocklands in the mana base because I didn't want our mana to stink it up too bad, since budget allied colors kind of sucks in Modern. Alright, let's see. Play Clearwater Pathway, play Fairy Seer, do some scrying. Spellstutter Sprite, Changeling Outcast. Let's put Outcast on the bottom. Do I want Sprite on top? It would give us some counter magic, so I think so. And pass the turn. Opponent plays an island. Passes. What does island go mean? Usually if it's a control deck, we have either seen a Yorion by now or... Let's get in with Fairy Seer. Activate ninjutsu. See what we draw. Ninja of the Deep Hours, okay. Misty Rainforest. This looks like... It doesn't look like Living End since they haven't cycled anything and they played a basic island. It could be Cascade, in which case I'm pretty happy we have Spellstarter Sprite. Let's get in with Infiltrator. Well, opponent's cracking Misty. Gets a Stomping Ground. Maybe they have a Bolt. I will Spellstarter Sprite it. If they do. Ice. Okay, that resolves. Yeah, it looks like Cascade, since they're playing Fire and Ice. Let's go... Fairy Seer. Scry a bit. Watery Grave and Changeling Outcast. Outcast to the bottom. Watery Grave to the top, I guess. Play Clearwater Pathway. One thing that I really enjoyed about Spellstarter Sprite in testing this deck is against Cascade decks, so against the Rhino's Cascade deck that we're probably playing against now and against Living End, you can just always counter their payoff spell. It doesn't even matter if they kill Spellstarter Sprite because it costs 0. You can just stop them from doing the thing they want to do. Opponent casts Fury. Unfortunately, we can't stop that one. That's fine. Well, I'm glad we kept a land on top so we can develop our board and keep a bit of counter magic up with the exile. Exiled Prismari command. Okay. Let's play Thousand Face Shadow. I'm pretty sure they're on Cascade, so I'm not going to worry about shocking in the land for Fatal Push, I don't think. And I think I'm just going to play tapped Watery Grave, leave up Spellstarter Sprite. Pass the turn. Opponent cast Prismari command. That resolves. Opponent using their removal on our 1/1s feels pretty good. That is a thing I like about ninjas. If they go for Cascade on their turn, we can flash in Spellstutter Sprite to counter it, attack with Spellstutter Sprite, Ninjutsu, Ninja of the Deep Hours in, and then leave up Spellstutter again. So I feel like we almost have a lock against them with Spellstutter Sprite. Alright. Counter that. Cool, cool. You have a 2/2. Congratulations. Biting Palm Ninja. Interesting. Let's go to combat. Attack with Sprite. Gotta move to blockers. Ninja of the Deep Hours. Yes. Please. I think I do it like this. Yeah, so now we can just keep countering their Cascade spells with Spellstutter Sprite and then picking it up each turn with our ninjas. We will draw a card. We draw Drown in the Loch. That's nice too. Alright, pass the turn. Opponent knows about Spellstutter Sprite, but they don't know about all this other disruption we have. We will take 2. Don't care too much about that. Ingenious Infiltrator, interesting. Let's attack for 2. Opponent casts Petty Theft. Let's Drown in the Loch that so they can't get... So they can't get Brazen Borrower at any point, and we get to draw a card here, hopefully. Force of Negation. That's fine. Do I leave up Sprite? They don't have any cards in hand. I could Fatal Push Shardless Agent now since we have... I think them getting Rhinos is scary enough that I want to leave up Sprite anyway. They have a lot of redundancy for finding Cascade pieces too, so I don't really want to risk it. Opponent hits us for 2. That's fine. We would like to draw a 1-drop. We draw Drown in the Loch. That's not that bad. Alright, let's pass again. I'm leaning towards just flashing in Spell Stutter so we have something to pick up for the ninjas. I might want to Drown in the Loch this, though. Yeah, I think I do. Hopefully we draw a land soon. I'd like to be able to play Biting Palm Ninja. That would be pretty good. There's a land. Exactly what I wanted. 1, 2. Cancel. 1, 2, 3. Biting Palm Ninja. Biting Palm Ninja is pretty nice too because it's going to let us, if it connects, we can get a Thoughtseize on our opponent, but it also has Menace, so it's a good way to cheat in other ninjas. And it blocks the shit out of this Shardless Agent. Opponent plays Endurance. That's fine. Do they target themselves? Yeah. Figured. If we can get Fallen Shinobi, that could be pretty sweet, because we might be able to actually cast our opponent's Cascade spells. Alright. We got Drowned Catacomb. If our opponent double blocks, we get to kill Shardless Agent with Biting Palm Ninja and then kill Endurance with Fatal Push. And if they don't block, we get to ninjutsu something in. And either way, we have Spell Stutter Sprite to stop Cascade. So I think we pressure them. Alright, they did double block. I'm fine with that. Okay. Push your boy. Pass the turn, leave up Spell Stutter Sprite again. We're about at the part of the game where I'm just hard casting ninjas and leaving up counter magic. We draw Fairy Seer. I will play Fairy Seer, get some scrying on. Silver for Partisan and Inquisition. They have 2 cards in their hand. They probably don't have... Inquisition seems weird against them because it can get their Cascade spells, but a lot of things it cannot get. Although I would like to see their hand, so I think I want that on top, and I think I'm going to put Silver Fur on the bottom. Because I think we basically want disruption rather than pressure at this point. Also, we have plenty of mana, so the cost reduction isn't the best. Alright, let's start off with Inquisition U. This way we might be able to get a removal spell or something before they get a ninja with it. Opponent plays Violent Outburst. We are going to counter the Rhinos.
Hopefully they don't have a counterspell. They do not. No crashing footfalls, not right now. If they have another cascade spell, they could get rhinos now though. But hopefully next turn we can pick this up and they won't draw more cascade. Brazen Borrower, okay. We're fine with that. It means that we're not getting in with Fairy Seer, but... Well, actually I'm going to get in with Fairy Seer. If they block it with Brazen Borrower, I don't really care, because it at least kills their Brazen Borrower, which is a bigger body. And now Spellstutter Sprite can get in without being contested next turn, most likely. Alright, no Cascade spell. Sweet. Let's play Clearwater Pathway. Go to combat. Does opponent have a spell to cast? Looks like they might have Fire and Ice. Attack you. Let's go Fallen Shinobi because it's the big splashy one. Let's see what we get. We got Endurance, Valakut Awakening. Let's play Endurance. I'm gonna target... Okay, opponent concedes. Sweet! Fallen Shinobi getting there. I was gonna target myself to get more of my interaction back in the deck, but just having Spellstutter Sprite back in my hand probably won us that game. Alright. Let's bring in Necromentia, that seems very good. Misplayed Shinobi could also be good, because it can bounce their tokens if they resolve any. Skull Snatcher doesn't seem that relevant, Nile Spellbomb doesn't seem that relevant. Plague Engineer, I guess, could shrink the rhinos, but at that point, like, we might as well just die. Spreading Seas, not really. Hurkyl's Recall, no. Spell Pierce, maybe. So I think Misplayed Shinobi and Necromentia. And I think we cut... What do we cut? Biting Palm seems medium in this matchup, since it's kind of slow compared to what they're doing. The 1-drops don't seem great since they're playing Furies and they're probably going to bring in like Anger of the Gods. But we have to have them just to enable the other stuff. Inquisition's fine. Fatal Push is fine. Might cut one Fatal Push. And Silver Fur I might cut down on. Drown on the Lock and Spellstutter Sprite we definitely keep. The draw spells we definitely keep. Fallen Shinobi seems good. Higger seems okay. It's mostly just like a cute card to tutor for things with. But it's very fun. Since they're a pretty fast deck, I think I'm going to cut Higger the Stillwind. And I think I'm going to cut the Fatal Push, since we're bringing in a piece of removal anyway. Spell Pierce is probably worth it. But I don't know what I would take out for it. It's probably worth it in the early game at the very least, so I think like maybe one Spell Pierce in, cut another Fatal Push. Second Spell Pierce in, cut a Silver Fur Master. Let's try it like that. I might wind up bringing the Fatal Pushes back depending on how this game feels. But we'll see. Spell Pierce at least stops them from turn 3 making rhinos, and that's the scariest start that they can have. Alright, we have a bunch of 1-drops and no disruption. This hand gets really messed up by... Like, we get to scry a little bit, but this hand gets really messed up by our opponent just playing Fury, I think, after Mulligan. Alright, we have our mana. We have interaction, we have draw, we don't have any of our 1-drops. I think I'll keep this and put Fallen Shinobi on the bottom. We can go, okay, we drew Drown in the Lock, that's nice. We can go turn 1, IOK. Turn 2, we can hold up Drown in the Lock. Turn 3, we can play Creeping Tar Pit, hold up Drown in the Lock if we still have it. Shardless Agent, Violent Outburst, Endurance, Brazen Borrower. Let's get rid of Shard Agent since it's the one that leaves behind a body after cascading. Second, Drown on the Lock, that's nice. Our plan of disrupting our opponent a bunch of times seems to be working. We need to get our draw on so we can keep up with our opponent value-wise. They're going to be able to bounce one of our infiltrators eventually with Brazen Borrower. We draw Changeling Outcast. Unfortunately, we can't play that right now. Pass the turn. They might go Violent Outburst at the end of our turn, and hopefully they don't have a second Cascade spell. They play Endurance. We don't care about that. Drown the Lock is going to work even if they don't have any cards in their graveyard, since it will counter 0 drops anyway, so... Like, Endurance is an annoying body, but eventually we'll be able to get over it. We draw. Ninja of the Deep Powers. Let's play Outcast. Give them something to petty theft. Pass the turn. So, Endurance, Forest, Island. It's weird that they count these as 2 separate cards. I'm gonna do it like that. Petty theft, that's fine. Opponent untaps, plays a land. Hits us for 3. That's fine. We draw. Clearwater Pathway, okay. Let's play Changeling Outcast. Play Clearwater Pathway. Do I want it on blue or black? I think black for now. Pass the turn. This way we can Drown the Lock something and still represent like Fatal Push, even though we don't have it. That's fine. Good lord. Alright. 2 Brazen Borrowers have been cast. Well, 2 Petty Thefts have been cast. Opponent casts a Brazen Borrower, that's fine. Hopefully we don't just get beat to death by non-rhinos, that would be kind of sad. Looks like that might be what's happening. This makes me want Fatal Pushes more, for sure. We're at 8, we draw an Ingenious Infiltrator, that doesn't do anything right now. Play a Changeling Outcast. 3rd time. Opponent plays Brazen Borrower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So we have to chump block and Endurance. That feels terrible. We're pretty much just dead at this point because our opponent's so far ahead of us. I think I'm just going to concede. Yeah, we'll just let him kill us. So... I think I want Fatal Pushes again. Maybe Spell Pierce isn't worth it since these cards are so good against their plan A anyway. So let's cut Spell Pierce. I definitely want the 1-drop so I can ninjutsu things in. I still think Necromentia is correct. Plague Engineer seems kind of nice since it can deal with Brazen Borrowers really well. But I just don't think it's that worth it. Yeah, let's go like that. And let's see how this game goes. The Temur Cascade deck is really interesting. The way that you can play like a combo deck or like a disruptive tempo-y style deck. The flexibility is just very interesting with that one. Let's see. Yes, we will take the play. We have a lot of disruption. We have Spell Stutter Sprite. We have a couple Fatal Pushes. We don't have all the lands we want, but we have our mana fixed, at least for now. I think we keep it. And I think I just go turn 1 Swamp Go, and then turn 2 Drowned Catacomb. Pass the turn. Exiles Crashing Footfalls. Okay. So they didn't side them out. We draw Inquisition. Let's play Drowned Catacomb. They're going to be on 2 mana, so we can safely Inquisition them here. Mystic Dispute, Brazen Bower, Fury. They don't have something to exile to Fury currently. I think I take Mystical Dispute, since it's just kind of a pain in the ass. We're mostly looking to interact with them on the stack, so that is fine by me. If we weren't playing a budget deck, I think at least 1 Brazen Borrower would be correct for us, since we can cast Petty Theft, cast Brazen Borrower, ninjutsu something over it, and then pick it up again. I'm gonna leave this up so I can see it. Footfalls is on 3. We need to make sure we can counter that. They might try to double cast on that turn, so we'll see what happens. We drew a land, that's good news. Pass the turn. Footfalls ticks down. I like having suspend cards being popular in the format again. I really like that mechanic. We drew another Fatal Push. Now we have too many Fatal Pushes. And no thanks to ninjutsu over currently, sadly. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Brazen Borrower. That's fine. Ticks down Footfalls. That's fine. So they still have a Steam Vents in their hand. They got rid of that. We know about Fury Steam Vents. We will take 3. Fatal Push is still decent, but it's definitely not as good without all of the fetch lands. It's a bit of a problem. Because normally we'd just be able to kill this, most likely on this turn. Changeling Outcast. Alright, thank God. Also counts as a fairy, probably doesn't matter since we're just countering 0 drops with it, but here we are. Alright, let's hope they don't have a Mystic Dispute, because we are 100% Spell Stutter Spriting something here. Opponent plays Petty Theft, that's fine. They had a second Brazen Borrower. So they have a Fury and 1 Unknown. Hopefully the Unknown isn't a counter spell or another way to cascade this turn. But we'll see. Because I'm sure they'll play it if they have one. Alright, fingers crossed. Hell yeah. Alright, and no more Cascade, please. Opponent can hard cast Fury this turn, that's kind of terrifying. We might actually just be dead to that. God. Your opponent doesn't quite have enough cards in their graveyard for us to be able to kill Fury with Drown in the lock. Huh. Spell Stutter Sprite. Let's play Outcast. Pass the turn. Let's see what happens here. I'd like to get this Brazen Borrower into their graveyard, if I can. That might involve chump blocking. But I also want to be able to activate Ninja of the Deep Hours. Interesting, interesting. Opponent has another Brazen Borrower they can play. So it would take 6 from Fury. I could flash in Spell Stutter Sprite to try to block Brazen Borrower, or I could take 3 from Brazen Borrower, chump block Fury, and Fatal Push Brazen Borrower. Get them up to 4 cards in graveyard. But then I can't ninjutsu next turn. I think I need to conserve life total. We have way too many Fatal Pushes and way too few lands. Oh, this can't block. I'm a dumbass. Alright, so we're taking 1,000,000 damage because I can't read. That sucks. I always forget that Changeling Outcast also can't block. I always just read the can't be blocked part. Alright, we're at 5. We're in the danger zone. Unfortunately. Opponent plays Breeding Pool. Let's... I mean, we can't... Alright. We want to draw a land. We draw Drown in the Loch. Go to combat. Attack you. So our opponent can flash in Brazen Borrower. I think me misplaying last turn cost me the game. I can flash it. I can ninjutsu in Deep Hours, draw a card, see what we get. That'll activate Revolt. But just killing one Brazen Borrower isn't going to save us, because we have to block Fury. So I need to draw land so I can play Spell Stutter Sprite. We would still take 6 to the Brazen Borrower, so we're just fucked at this point, right? Draw Fairy Seer. It's not going to do it, and we'll concede. Unfortunate. We had a really good game 1 against them. But game 2, our ability to counter their Cascade stuff didn't matter. In game 3, we got stuck with a bunch of Fatal Pushes after I sided them back in. Maybe I sideboarded wrong. It definitely feels like you'd be able to win this matchup with this deck. Alright, let's get into the next one. Alright, round 2 with Budget Ninjas in Modern. We lost the die roll. This is a very fairy hand. We have our mana fixing, we have some early game plays and decent disruption, so I think we keep it. I'm probably going to go turn 1 Island Fairy Seer. Opponent's playing an Ether Vial deck off of a mountain. So Goblins? Unfortunately, that makes Spell Stutter Sprite significantly worse. We draw Inquisition. Let's go Island Fairy Seer. Silver for Master Fatal Push. We probably want Fatal Push. There's a decent chance we want Master, but I think I want Draw more. Yeah, we don't have a very ninja heavy hand yet. Let's put that on the bottom. Put you on top. Opponent untaps, rolls up Vial, I assume. An Ether Vial deck with just a bunch of 0 drops would be kind of funny. Yeah, definitely playing Goblins. Does not reveal a Goblin with Auntie's Hovel, interestingly. Let's shock in Watery Grave. Go to combat. Attack you. Do I want to leave up Spellstutter Sprite, or do I want to Inquisition here? I think I want to Inquisition since my black mana is kind of strapped right now. Goblin Matron and Kiki Jiki are the only cards in hand. Let's get rid of Matron. They have a very slow hand without the Matron. Kiki Jiki can't be fatal pushed, unfortunately, but it can be Biting Palm Ninja'd. So I think that's the current plan. Play Tar Pit tapped. Go to combat. Attack you. How high is our opponent going to try to get Aether Vial, I wonder? Let's play Fairy Seer, do some scrying, leave up Fatal Push. I kind of like both of these cards. I think I want to go... Well, we're definitely putting Biting Palm Ninja in first, so... Top. This way we can ninjutsu Biting Palm Ninja and leave up Fatal Push next turn. That way we can get rid of Kiki Jiki. Our opponent got Ringleader, that kind of sucks for us. Alright. Hopefully not a very good Ringleader. Opponent gets Munitions Expert, Mog War Marshal. Okay. They can't play either of those off of Aether Vial, so we're not particularly scared about that. We'll take the 2. Draw a land. Play the land. Go to combat. Attack. Biting Palm Ninja. Now I'm gonna make sure I do this right. It's gonna trigger, right? Deals combat damage to a player, remove a menace counter from... Okay, it's gonna give me the option. So we hit you for 4. Okay. Did I... Yes. Alright, no more Kiki Jiki, please leave. So Mogwar Marshal, Munitions Expert, Kiki Jiki are the only cards in their hand. We exile Kiki Jiki. We could replay Fairy Seer, or we could hold up Fatal Push. It's probably better to hold up Fatal Push. Opponent plays Cavern, that's fine. Mog War Marshal, that's fine. So they could Munitions Expert down Biting Palm Ninja currently. So Spellstutter won't be able to counter their Goblins now. Is there a way to draw out the Munitions Expert so that it doesn't get Infiltrator? Are we fine with it getting Infiltrator? I don't really want it to. Let's attack. See if our opponent does anything. They do not. I think I just wait. I can scry with the other Fairy Seer, leave up Spellstutter Sprite and Fatal Push. Biting Palm Ninja can block Goblin Ringleader, so they're probably going to want to Munitions Expert that away. And then I can start drawing with Ingenious Infiltrator. Double land, double bottom, I think. Opponent. Plays Munitions Expert, that's fine. Hits Ninja. That's fine. Since you activated Revolt, we're going to get rid of Ringleader. Fuck. Oh my god. That is so frustrating. Alright. Opponent pays for Echo, interesting. Plays Bloodstained Mire, that's fine. Attacks with the boys. Let's block there and kill it. Opponent plays Ether Vial. Let's go ahead and get rid of you. I think the body is scarier than our opponent drawing a combo suddenly because we know that they don't have really anything going on right now. So now our opponent's just stuck with a couple 1/1s. And hopefully we can start drawing cards. We draw IOK. Do we know what our opponent's last card is? I don't think so. Is it the Swamp? What did the Swamp get revealed from? This revealed card section is a mess. I'm gonna just get rid of it. Fuck! Oh my god! Ah! Alright. Let's Inquisition you. I'll pretend like I meant to do that. Okay. So we did already know about the Swamp. Spellstutter Sprite is essentially just on blocker duty at this point. Unless they tap weird / don't use Ether Vial. I definitely wish I drew an extra card and did some damage there. And picked up Fairy Seer. That would have been a lot better than just passing my combat phase. But it is what it is, I suppose. Alright, opponent plays a land. Hopefully they just drew another land. Let's flash in Spellstutter Sprite. Block a 1/1, since that's pretty much what Spellstutter is going to be doing now. I still want to pick up Fairy Seer with Infiltrator, so I can keep scrying. And I don't want to kill Mogwar Marshal, I'd rather just take damage from that. Alright, let's see if I can actually do combat correctly this time. We draw Watery Grave. I may or may not be playing that this turn. Okay, attack with Fairy Seer. Declare attackers as passed. Go to blocking step. Opponent activates Ether Vial. Jesus Christ. Do I have anything to do with Ether Vial? Mog Fanatic. That's fucking annoying. They're out of cards in hand though. So I think that just means that I cast Ingenious Infiltrator full cost. Because this can just block and kill all the 1/1s in the world. Our opponent's probably just going to leave up blocking with Mogwar Marshal, but at that point, at least we're not getting aggroed anymore, and we can keep getting in with Creeping Tar Pit. We just need a few clean combat steps to actually kill our opponent here. Opponent activates Ether Vial, so they drew something. They drew Conspicuous Snoop, that's pretty scary. They're not going to double block the Ingenious Infiltrator to kill it. We drew another Infiltrator, that's interesting. 1, 2, 3. So I can get in with Creeping Tar Pit, and that pressures them. I can get in with Ingenious Infiltrator, and that makes them block with Mogwar Marshal. And I think I leave up Spellstutter Sprite so I can put the other Infiltrator into play, because I think connecting with 2 Infiltrators is the way I win this game, rather than attacking with Creeping Tar Pit this turn, since the triggers stack. Yeah, let's attack. They're going to chump block with Mogwar Marshal, I assume. I don't know why they would block with Conspicuous Snoop, since they need that to combo. So we get one of their bodies off the board, which is something at least. Spellstutter Sprite basically just can't counter anything, but it at least lets us ninjutsu at this point, and hopefully our opponent just has another land on top of their deck here. That's what we want. Or an Ether Vial. Mogwar Marshal. We're okay with that. We are okay with that. Well, motherfucker. Munitions Expert is annoying. They're probably gonna cast that to where it can't be countered. I think I Spellstutter Sprite it. Well, I can't Spellstutter Sprite this. I forgot that this was also a future side effect instead of just gaining the abilities. That's really obnoxious. Alright. Opponent attacks. Let's attempt to block with Creeping Tar Pit. They're going to kill it with Munitions Expert, but then we can put Spellstutter Sprite into play. And hopefully they don't have another Goblin on top of their deck. Pashlik Mons. Jesus Christ. Alright. If you give the Goblin deck too much time, you're really just fucked, aren't you? Okay. Play Spellstutter Sprite for no additional value. Plague Engineer hopefully will be very good against them. We'll take 3. And be very sad. I think they just have a board that we can't really get past at this point, because even if we draw 2 cards with Infiltrator, like what card are we drawing into that's going to save us here? We'd have to get a kill spell for both Pashlik Mons and Conspicuous Snoop. They have a Goblin Matron on top of their deck too, so they're going to be able to tutor and play whatever they want. Like, we got Kiki Jiki, but Goblins has many a B plan that are all pretty decent. So we need like double Fatal Push here, is what we need. Drown the Lock, that's one removal spell. Fatal Push. Spellstutter Sprite. So I think I have to kill Pashlik Mons now, since that can combo kill us. And then we just hope that somehow them tutoring a Goblin doesn't kill us. And also they can't just deal 5 damage normally. I mean, they can just play Sling Gang Lieutenant, right? I guess I'll make them actually play it, but... Yeah, Ether Vial decks does not seem like the matchup we want to you want to queue into with this. At least if you're going to be drawing a lot of your counter spells like we have been. Yeah, I mean... good lord. Okay. What do we want to bring in? We want to bring in Plague Engineer for sure. Maybe Mistblade Shinobi, maybe Necromentia. Because Necromentia on Conspicuous Snoop seems good. Spellstutter Sprite was bad. I'm going to be cutting those. Mistblade. Cut you. Necromentia. Cut you. Necromentia. Yeah, I think Spellstutter Sprite can be good against them, but because of how many ways they have to get around counterspells, it's not reliable enough. Like, I guess the dream with Spellstutter Sprite is we're on the play, and our opponent top decks an Ether Vial instead of having it in their opening hand, and we get to counter it with that. This hand has a decent amount of disruption, has some ninjas, has our mana fixing, might as well keep. Some of our counters, like Drown the Lock being flexible counter or removal, is pretty decent against the Ether Vial decks at least. So I guess turn one we go Shock in Watery Grave, play Thousand Face Shadow. That doesn't seem that bad. Pay 2 life. Play our boy. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Unclaimed Territory. Plays Ether Vial. We are sad. We will get in. Not much point in leaving up Drown in the Lock since they don't have any cards in their graveyard yet, so I'm just gonna play tapped Watery Grave. Pass the turn. Opponent rolls up Vial. Do they not have a second land? They don't have a second land. Okay. That might be enough to help us here. Play Drowned Catacomb. Go to combat. Attack with Shadow. Ninjutsu, Biting Palm Ninja. Yes, I would like to Thoughtseize you. Opponent has Conspicuous Snoop, Boggart, Harbinger, and Sling Gang Lieutenant. Yikes. Okay. So what do we want to do here? I think we get rid of Conspicuous Snoop number 1. They get to play a second one. But then we can Fatal Push that. And then, well, So we just... I could get rid of Boggart Harbinger. They're not going to be able to play that for a couple turns anyway, that's the issue. But it does stop them from tutoring entirely. And it's a bit easier to kill the second Conspicuous Snoop that way. Yeah, let's get rid of Harbinger. Because then I can Fatal Push a Conspicuous Snoop and Drown the Lock the second one. So it turns this card on for us. Opponent plays a second Ether Vial, that's pretty spooky. Let's play Island. Go to combat. Attack for 3. Do I want to play Thousand Face Shadow? Or do I want to wait to ninjutsu it? I don't know. Opponent goes to 13. I think I just want to play it out. It's a bit high mana cost to do that, and I need to be able to interact. And this way we have 2 ninjas to where if I draw an Ingenious Infiltrator, I can I can draw multiple cards with it instead of just one. Alright. Snoop can fuck off. I may have fucked myself up a little bit there because I forgot that this exiled again. So Drown in the Lock is less good than I wanted it to be. But we'll see what happens. They have an Ether Vial on one, they have 2 lands. They have another land on top. We're okay with that. They have a Goblin Matron. That's terrifying. They do have 2 cards in their graveyard now. So that means I get to go Drown the Lock you. Get you a bit further away from the combo. Yet again. Opponent has just Sling Gang in their hand, and they have Goblin Matron on top. We drew Ninja of the Deep Powers, that's not bad. So it always enters the battlefield with a menace counter. So opponent's going to be able to... Huh. Our opponent's going to be able to put Sling Gang into play next turn. Which puts 3 toughness onto the board, /3 power. I'm wondering which of these I want to pick up. I think this is going to be a little funky looking, but I think this works. Let's go to combat. Attack, attack. So this costs 2 to ninjutsu, this costs 3. So I'm gonna go, okay, wait till blockers again. Ninjutsu you. Get Ninja of the Deep Powers. Okay, and because then we could ninjutsu Biting Palm Ninja and take their other card out of their hand. Alright, that was sweet. We got there. Our opponent may have conceded early, but we still got there, so I'm gonna count it, damn it. And let's run it back. Cross our fingers for the best. Yeah, Goblins is really cool. The amount of ways they have to win the game is really entertaining. Let's see. We don't have any interaction, but we have a lot of draw power. So I think I'm going to keep it. And then we can just see what happens. I'm kind of down on time right now, so I don't want to take too much time doing things. Looks like our opponent's playing Ether Vial on one again. Yep, always have it. Let's play Thousand Face Shadow. So we could Inquisition or we could ninjutsu next turn. We'll see what happens. They might have removal. Hopefully not. Munitions expert, they do have removal, god damn it. Looks like they're gonna kill Shadow. That's fine. Or it's as fine as it's gonna get, rather. So we're probably Inquisitioning here. Drown in the Lock, okay. Cast Eye, okay. See what we get. Conspicuous Snoop, Goblin Matron. Both fucking annoying. Conspicuous Snoop. If they have to play Goblin Matron to get Snoop, at least we're not immediately dead because they don't have mana. So I think I take Snoop here. And then depending on how they play it, we might be able to kill something with Drown in the Lock that matters. Yeah, getting the munitions expert killing our 1/1 on turn 2 really disrupted what I was trying to do there. But we'll see what happens. Opponent's gonna play Matron, gonna search for Snoop, I assume. Get rid of that, and get rid of that. Yep. This was already done too. Opponent gets Conspicuous Snoop. We'd like to draw a Fatal Push. They have a land, a Conspicuous Snoop, and 1 unknown in their hand. Opponent hits us for 1, that's fine. We only have a Drown in the Lock we could play this turn, so we're just going to play a tapped Conclave and pass. Hope for the best. Hopefully our opponent plays a fetch land or something so we can kill Snoop. Would be ideal. Opponent files in Conspicuous Snoop. Yup. They have another Goblin Matron. I think that probably just means we're dead unless they sort of punt and play a fetch land and let us kill Snoop. Yeah, and there's fucking Sling Gang too. Just in case they needed that. So how do they play this? They Violin Matron. Do they want to play Sling Gang first, or do they just go Matron, get Harbinger? I assume they go Matron, get Harbinger, put Kiki Jiki on top, do Conspicuous Snoop a million times, and then go get Sling Gang on top again. Just in case they sacrifice something, I'm going to wait until they actually have me dead, because I might be able to disrupt them with the Drown in the Lock. But it's not looking hopeful. I'm pretty sure if they just sequence it correctly, I don't have a way to win this game. Especially since I'm stuck with 2 damn 4-drops in my hand. But it goes to combat. Hits us. That's fine. Yep. Opponent taps and untaps. Taps again. Plays Matron. Alright, if they show us Harbinger, I'm just gonna scoop. I assume that's what they're doing. I do kind of want to play Goblins. Yeah, there's Harbinger. Let's concede. GG's to our opponent. I do kind of want to play Goblins on this, on the channel sometime soon, because it seems very fun and it's a pretty strong deck. And let's get into the next one. Alright, round 3 with ninjas. We are on the play. Let's get this league turned around. We have some early interaction. We have an Ingenious Infiltrator. We don't have a way to cheat it in yet, but we do have Fixing. So I think I want to keep. Let's just go turn 1 Tar Pit, go. Our opponent did not mulligan and is not playing a companion. They play Mana Confluence. Interesting. Okay, we're playing against Dredge. God damn it. Prized Amalgam to the graveyard. We do have a couple sideboard cards for Dredge at least. That's something. Let's play Island, leave up Drown in the Lock so I can counter Cathartic Reunion. Opponent plays City of Brass. Taps their mana, plays Cathartic. Who could have seen this coming? We will Drown in the Lock that. Hold on. We'll try to tap correctly to Drown in the Lock that. Cool, cool. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. They are going to start dredging soon. They have 2 Stinkweeds. Let's play... Do I want double Fatal Push? Probably not. Let's play Creeping Tar Pit past the turn. Fatal Push is really annoying when you don't have proper ways to activate it, like fetch lands. Alright, opponent gets Narcomoeba, so they're going to get at least this one prized amalgam back. They Creeping Chill us, that's fine. Yeah, Dredge is also a lot more scary when I'm not playing something as fast as Affinity that can actually race it. Has another Cathartic Reunion. Now I think we're dead. Let's see what terrible things await us. They get a second Narcomoeba, they get 3 prized amalgams this turn. Yup. Good lord. And a Silver Smoke Ghoul, just in case. And we draw something that doesn't matter. Okay, we concede. Good lord, Dredge. Alright. So we're gonna bring in Nile Spellbombs. We're gonna bring in Skull Snatcher. Plague Engineer might be worth it. Plague Engineer on zombie seems decent. Could be better against some of the other things we have at least. I don't think Fatal Push is very good. Inquisition also doesn't seem great, but it's about as good as everything else we have at this point. Hurkyl's Recall's not great. Spell Pierce might be decent. Necromancer seems good, although slow. Biting Palm Ninja doesn't seem good. Higger seems too slow. So let's bring in Plague Engineer. Let's cut... both of the other Fatal Pushes. I think if they get to the point where we have to Fatal Push things, we're already just dead. Let's do it like that. So Plague Engineer can get rid of their X1s very well. It can also shrink the prized amalgams to a size that we can deal with. But really we just want Nile Spellbomb. This does not have Nile Spellbomb or any graveyard hate. We will mulligan. Alright, we might be able to disrupt them enough that we can Necromantia here, so let's get rid of... I think I get rid of Watery Grave. So I can go turn 1 Inquisition, turn 2 Spellstutter Sprite, I guess. And then turn 3 Necromantia you. And the Inquisition should let us know... Our opponent mulliganed a bit too, that's nice. So they have Prized Amalgam, Golgari Thug, Thrilling Discovery in hand. Let's get rid of Thrilling Discovery. Pass the turn. So do we Necromantia Prized Amalgam, or do we Necromantia one of their Dredgers? Because hitting Stinkweed Dump seems pretty good. Although maybe it's not good enough. Motherfucker. Alright, they drew a second Thrilling Discovery. They have double Golgari Thug. They didn't get any triggers. Alright, we're Necromantiaing Prized Amalgam because we can. Play Clearwater Pathway, play Necromantia. Prized Amalgam. Yes. You. They have 1 Conflagrate. They have an Ox of Agonist that could kill us. They have a Prismatic End for some reason. They have two Silver Smoke Ghouls. That got rid of most of their win condition, so that's good at least. They did get a 2/2, but we can block that, I suppose. Probably planning on playing Fairy Seer here, and then leaving up Spellstutter Sprite since they can counter some of their graveyard action, or Golgari Thug if they decide to cast it. They do have Ox, so they're probably going to bring that back this turn, actually. Yeah. It's annoying. I love Modern to death because of how wide the field is, but it's unfortunate how difficult it is to play something that's just kind of goofy. Without just packing your sideboard full of stuff for this kind of shit. We draw IOK. We can't kill anything. At least not meaningful. Let's just concede. Dredge. Alright, round 4 with ninjas. Let's see if this deck is capable of getting a match win. We've been running... We were running okay. We were getting 1-2s, but then we played against Dredge, and Dredge made me sad. This hand has a lot of disruption, but not a ninja yet. But we do have a Fairy Seer we can play. We're playing against a Yorion deck, so all the disruption is probably necessary. Let's keep it. How good this hand is really depends on what flavor of Yorion we're playing against. Let's go turn 1 Island Fairy Seer. Maybe get a ninja on top, we'll see. Fatal Push Island, I think these both go on the bottom. Fatal Push is unlikely to be relevant, at least early game against a Yorion deck. Opponent plays Flooded Strand. Inconclusive what our opponent is playing still. We draw Fairy Conclave. Let's attack you. Play Creeping Tar Pit, pass the turn. We just look like a fairies deck to our opponent currently, so that's fine. They will not suspect the ninjas whenever they start to arrive. There's a decent chance Fairy Seer is going to get prismatically ended at some point. Opponent gets Ketria Triome, okay. Most Yorion decks start really doing things on turn 3, so we're probably good for now. They might play like Wrenn and 6 and make us sad. Like, I'm sure they're not going to Fury just to get rid of a Fairy Seer. Opponent discards to hand size. Huh. We might be able to win a game to our opponent getting mana screwed. And that would be fantastic. I would absolutely accept that at this point. Let's go Swamp, Inquisition you. Now we should have Drown on the Lock for a 3-drop. Ready. Spreading Seas, don't care about that. Ice Fang Codal, moderately annoying. Ephemerate, moderately annoying. Teferi, very annoying. So I probably just take Teferi. If they Solitude something we don't care that much, we can counter Ephemerate. Yeah, let's get rid of Tef. They have a very greedy hand. I don't know why you keep a one land hand with a Yorion deck. It seems unwise. Go to combat. Attack with Fairy Seer. Play a Tar Pit. Pass the turn. I'm going to start attacking with manlands once I can also leave up Drown in the Lock. Opponent bolts Fairy Seer. That's okay. Don't care too much about that. Opponent draws nothing of interest. We draw Clearwater Pathway. We'll play Fairy Conclave, pass the turn. They don't have white mana, so they can't Ephemerate yet anyway. So that's nice. If our opponent has to discard to hand size, it means we can counter Solitude with Drown in the Lock. Our opponent does do that. They have main deck Force of Vigor for some reason. Let's activate Tar Pit. Do I even counter the Solitude? I will counter the Bolt, since it's pretty efficient for them. I'd rather them Solitude and go down 2 cards. Opponent gets a land, which means they're able to either Ephemerate or play Icefang Codal to draw a card. It won't have Death Touch, though, and it can't block the Creeping Tar Pits anyway, so it's not that spooky. But our opponent is closer to being able to do things, and we don't necessarily want that. Opponent goes down to 12. Opponent plays Codal. They play Spreading Seas. Interesting. I mean, we just have another Creeping Tar Pit. Let's play Clearwater Pathway. Let's... 1, 2, 3. Do I want to get in with Fairy Conclave 2? Kinda. But I want to leave an up Drown in the Lochmoor. Go to combat. Attack you. Opponent goes down to 7, pass the turn. Alright, opponent needs to start having some amount of defense. They get another land, so now they can Solitude Ephemerate it. They could also play Codal and Ephemerate it, but it still won't have Death Touch yet. We draw Spellstutter Sprite, that's excellent. Let's play Murkwater Pathway. Let's... So if we animate Creeping Tar Pit, how much mana do we have up? 4? Because we have... 1, 2, 3... Yeah. 3 mana to animate it. 1, 2, 3, 4 left over. So we have 2 counter spells still. Attack you. Okay. Gets a snow-covered island. Yup. Plays Icefang Codal. Okay. Creeping Tar Pit cannot be blocked. You have to actually remove it. Opponent casts Solitude. We will Drown in the Loch Solitude. Get in for 3. Opponent's at 3. We will pass the turn. If our opponent ephemerates, we will counter it with Spellstutter Sprite to stop them from drawing extra cards. Got him. Yeah, playing the Ninjas deck, like, I like the theme, of course, because of Kamigawa and whatnot, but it definitely just feels like we would be better off if we were just playing a Fairies deck. What you got, opponent? You need more removal. We draw Watery Grave. Let's animate Creeping Tar Pit. Animate Fairy Conclave. Fatal Push your Codal. And now you need 2 pieces of removal? Sweet, okay. Well, we got there that time. Didn't feel so bad that time at all. Definitely felt like I should just be playing... Definitely felt like I should just be playing Fairies that time, though. Let's see. So, Nile Spellbomb, probably not. Skull Snatcher, probably not. Plague Engineer, probably not. Necromentia, maybe. Getting Ephemerate seems pretty good. Spreading Seas probably not. Hurkyl's probably not. Spell Pierce maybe. What do I want to cut is the thing. Fatal Push doesn't seem great, so I can probably cut 2 of those, bring in the Necromenches. I think I just don't care that much about... I think, like, I'm just trying to tempo them out. I don't have to be particularly fast. I don't want to side in Spell Pierces necessarily because they're playing Teferi and it seems kind of like a non-bow, where I can just try to kill Teferi other ways. Mistblade probably not because it makes them pick up their stuff that has ETB abilities. Plague Engineer, Yeah, let's just do it like that. Skull Snatcher could be correct because it could eat Ephemerates out of their graveyard or lands out of their graveyard if they're playing Wrenn and 6. But it seems a bit too niche right now. If we activate ninjutsu this game, we'll actually be able to surprise our opponent with that because they just didn't see any ninjas at all last time. Okay. We have mana fixing. We don't have as many lands as we would like, but we do have like turn 1 Spellstutter Sprite, Scribe it, maybe get some lands on top. Turn 2 either Spellstutter Sprite or Fairy Seer, and then turn 2 Spellstutter Sprite or Ninja. Changeling Outcast could also possibly come down at some point. Let's keep it. And then hopefully turn 3 we'll be able to play Necromentia. So this one's definitely going on black. Opponent plays Abundant Growth, okay. Ingenious Infiltrator, alright. Island, Fairy Seer. Island, Drown the Lock on top. Let's put Island to the bottom. Let's put Drown the Lock also on the bottom. And just be super greedy. Try to get a black land. Or more efficiently, hopefully like a Watery Grave, so we have a duel. Opponent plays Hollowed Fountain. They're not stuck on one land this time, unfortunately. We draw Creeping Tar Pit. Do I think they have Solitude? I guess we'll see. Attack with Fairy Seer. Let's put Ninja of the Deep Hours in. So if it gets removed, we won't care as much as if we would about Ingenious Infiltrator. Surprise Ninja? Do we get to draw a card? We got to draw a card, hooray! We drew a Fatal Push, okay. Opponent plays Reflecting Pool, that's fine. They have perfect mana. Opponent plays Seasoned Pyromancer. That's no fun. We want to draw an untapped black source so we can play Necromentia on curve, but if not, we're fine too. Opponent discards Solitude, that's kind of interesting. I don't think I'm going to get it. Well, maybe I attack with Ninja of the Deep Hours just to get rid of Pyromancer, since it already kind of did its job, and then they can't ephemerate Pyromancer at least. If I play Silver Fur Master, this becomes a 3/3, and that's a little bit better. Let's play Creeping Tar Pit. Let's play... If I just play both my 1-drops, I'm kind of playing into them having a Fury. I'm also doing that if I play Silver Fur Master. I think I need to pressure them this turn. Maybe I Fatal Push the Elemental and then attack for 2 and see if they want to block with Seasoned Pyromancer. I think that seems reasonable. Because at least that gets the Pyromancer off the board. And this already drew me a card, so it doesn't feel that bad. Now I can play Fairy Seer Scry again. Let's put the island on the bottom, Watery Grave on top. Because we do want lands, we just don't want a ton of lands. Opponent plays the land. Taps for 3, puts Endurance into play. Interesting. Shuffle their own graveyard or our graveyard. This having reach is really fucking annoying. Like Changeling Outcast can still get in, so that's nice at least, I guess, but definitely a pain in the ass. I think I want to lead on Necromentia now. And I think I get Ephemerate with it, because Ephemerate is their big value plan. Necromentia, you. And then I can play Untapped Watery Grave, play Changeling Outcast. Changeling Outcast has Unblockable, so we can get in next turn and put Ingenious Infiltrator into play. Outcast also makes Spellstutter Sprite count go up by 1. So that could be useful. Getting to peek at our opponent's hand also seems pretty good here. Alright. Opponent let it go. We're going to get Ephemerate. Opponent had 1 in hand, a Seasoned Pyromancer, and a Spreading Seas in hand. Okay. And they have a bunch of elementally bullshit. We have to watch out for Omnaths. There are Wrenn and 6s in the deck. They kept all the Teferis in. They have 4 Solitudes. They have 1 Seasoned Pyromancer in hand and 2 in their library. Other than that, it's a pretty normal list. They have Sylvan Caryatid. I don't think people normally play that. That's kind of cool. And they're playing 2 Veil of Summers. Those could be a pain in the ass. Okay. Opponent got a free token, since we got an Ephemerate. But that's fine. We'll play Changeling Outcast. Pass the turn. So we kind of want to draw a 5th land so that we can Ingenious Infiltrator to draw a card. We can replay Changeling Outcast and then play Spellstutter Sprite. I didn't remember to see if they have Furies. I don't think I saw them, though. Because we want Sprite on 3 so we can counter Teferi with it. Spreading Seas, that's okay. Sadly, it gets our Creeping Tar Pit, but that's fine. Opponent bolts, Changeling Outcast, that's annoying. Does opponent get jiggy with Endurance? They do not. We draw Drown in the Lock, that's not bad. Drown in the Lock only goes up to 2 right now, though, is the thing. Let's play Silver for Master out. And then just pass the turn. I really need to get Endurance off the board so they don't have a flyer. We have 2 counter spells. Unfortunately, Spellstutter Sprite only goes up to 2 right now because the Outcast died. I'd really like to be able to counter Yorion whenever they're about to play it. Opponent plays Codal. Do I want to get rid of that? I kind of do. We know that the last card in their hand is a Seasoned Pyromancer, so I think it's worth it. Because this gets rid of a flying blocker for them, and it also gets rid of another draw via Yorion, and it also puts their graveyard to 3, so Drown the Lock is a little bit better. And now we can attack with 2 flyers, so we can definitely get in with Ingenious Infiltrator to draw a card at the very least. I'm kind of curious which one of these they prefer to block. And then Infiltrator has a decent body because of Silver Fur Master. I might actually just Drown the Lock Endurance now. We'll see what we draw, I suppose. If they attack for 2, I'm going to take it. I don't care that much about it. We draw another Ingenious Infiltrator. Okay. Huh. Alright, I do think I get rid of Endurance. Just to get that out of the way. Go to combat. Attack, attack. Do I want to pick up Spellstutter Sprite or Infiltrator? Or, I mean, do I want to pick up Fairy Seer or Spellstutter Sprite? If I draw an untapped blue source, picking up Fairy Seer might be better. But otherwise, Sprite's probably better, so I think I'm going to go with that one. And then hopefully nothing too crazy happens next turn. And we get the second Infiltrator down, because I think drawing a bunch of cards per turn is how we can snowball and win this game. All right, pick up a Sprite, draw a card. We draw a Changeling Outcast. That's not bad. It's an unblockable way to trigger both of these, and it's also a 2/2 because of Silver Fur Master, and it also grows our Spellstutter Sprite, so that seems decent. Infiltrator is a 3/4 right now, so unless they draw some interactive removal. Opponent, god damn it. Okay, Solitude gets rid of that. That's okay. They still don't have a flyer yet, so we can put the other one into play. And we have Spellstutter Sprite still up. If we draw a land, we can do all of those, and that seems good. I'll take 4. Opponent plays a land. We don't know the last card in their hand. We draw another Changeling Outcast. Okay. So, I can play double Changeling Outcast, have a fairy count of 4 for Spellstutter Sprite, and that can stop Omnaths. Or I can start getting in with Ingenious Infiltrator, which also seems pretty good. Do I want to attack with Silver Fur Master? If I attack with Silver Fur Master, I'm going to either have it trade with a Solitude, which at least gets Solitude off the board, or I'm going to get an extra card with Ingenious Infiltrator. But if I trade with Solitude, these are going to shrink. Still probably worth it. Let's go to combat. Definitely attacking with you. Yeah, they don't have Ephemerates. Yeah, let's get in with Master too. This way at least they won't have Solitude in their Yorion loop. If they block here, yeah, it's fine. Alright, Infiltrator. Opponent takes 3 and we draw a card. We draw Fatal Push. That's not bad. Let's play... Huh. Maybe we save the Fatal Push for... Maybe we save the Fatal Push for Omnaths and other scary things. Let's play Fairy Seer, because I don't think it's worth leaving up Spellstutter Sprite. We don't need these lands right now. Let's play Outcast. Pass the turn. Hopefully our opponent draws dead this turn, and we can get in for some more draw with Infiltrator. Yeah, if we get to untap here, we're going to get to draw a bunch of cards, and then Spellstutter's Pride is going to be pretty huge and be able to deal with most things our opponent can play. So I think this turn is when it really matters for our opponent to stabilize. I had the option to kill Seasoned Pyromancer, but I chose not to so they couldn't get tokens. And so I have Fatal Push for later, in case I want that. I'll take 4 again. I'm not as worried about my life total as I am about my opponent getting pressured here. Opponent plays a land, 1 card in hand, puts Yorion into hand. Can they cast Yorion too? They put Yorion into hand, they can play it. That's annoying. So maybe I should have killed Pyromancer. We get to get in with Changeling Outcast either way, and draw cards with that, and then we can play another one. So we're still not in the worst spot ever. But we need a way to get Yorion off the board, ideally. Our opponent did not do the Seasoned Pyromancer thing, oddly. But they are drawing some cards either way. I don't know why they didn't flicker their Seasoned Pyromancer. Seems a little odd. Let's go to combat. Attack you with Changeling Outcasts. Opponent goes to 10 and we draw a card. We draw Spellstutter Sprite. Not bad. Play Murkwater. Play Changeling Outcast. Pass the turn. Alright, we have... Unfortunately, we could actually have countered Yorion if they did it this turn instead of last turn, but it is what it is, I suppose. We have a couple unblockable boys to pressure our opponent with. If we get another Silver Fur Master, they will be a bit scarier, and that would be nice. But we're going to be able to draw cards with it either way. Opponent casts Fire. That's worth countering. What's the other thing our opponent has? Another Fire. We'll counter that too. Hopefully that's it for what our opponent has. Alright. Please nothing else. We had to use both of our counter spells already. They could still play Omnath if they have it. Please don't have Omnath. Oh no. Alright, well we can Fatal Push this at least. I'm gonna block the token, let Pyromancer get on. Opponent plays Prismatic Vista, they get to gain some life. That's obnoxious. They're gonna fetch and get some mana. Let's see what they drew. They don't do anything with it. Okay. Let's go to combat. Attack, attack. Attack. This way they can block a Spellstutter Sprite, or they can choose to take some extra damage. If they block, I get to Fatal Push their Omnath, and that's kind of nice. Alright, cool. Opponent blocks. We get to draw a couple cards. We draw a Fairy Seer and another Infiltrator. That's pretty good. We will Fatal Push your Omnath. We will Fairy Seer. Okay. Top, bottom. What do I want to Necromentia? I'm definitely necromentioning something. What's the scariest thing they could have? Another Omnath, maybe? They are playing 4 of them. Yeah, let's just get rid of Omnath. What is this one? Locus of Creation. No more Omnaths, please. Opponent has a Seasoned Pyromancer in their hand. They do not have any Furies. So worst thing they could draw is probably Solitude. Okay. Opponent gets a redraw with Abundant Harvest, so that was their draw number 1. They're going to play Seasoned Pyromancer, draw a couple cards. Wonder what they got. We're going to chump block Yorion so we don't just die to a little bit of combat damage. And we're going to block Seasoned Pyromancer with Ingenious Infiltrator again. Block. Block. Blocking with Fairy Seer instead of Spell Stutter Sprite, so I have the option of picking up Sprite with Ingenious Infiltrator in a second. Alright. So I can play Silver Fur Master. How much damage do I get in for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna draw about $1 million cards, so I can count on probably getting another untapped land. So I think that's worth it. Play Silver Fur Master. Go to combat. Attack, 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 attack. Leaving up Fairy Seer so I can block Yorion if I have to. I assume opponent's going to chump block here. Did they draw a Solitude? It looks like they did. Nope, they're just making a couple 1/1 elemental tokens. So they're going to block Ingenious Infiltrator and probably kill it. But we're going to get the triggers anyway. So that's kind of fine. Block, block. Okay. Block. Okay. I'd rather kill the tokens than the Pyromancer. Ninjutsu. Pick up Sprite. So we're going to draw 6 here. Come on, untapped land. Untapped land would be so good. Opponent cracks Wooded Foothills. Okay. Opponent's at 3. Silver Fur Master. I-OK. Higger. I-OK. Swamp. Sweet. And Silver Fur Master. Play a Swamp. And I guess I just leave up Spell Stutter Sprite and pass. We have double Lord, and if our opponent can't get rid of our unblockable guys, they're just gonna die. And maybe we actually gotta... Did Budget Ninjas actually win a match? Bolting that's fine. We don't need the draw at this point. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. And opponent concedes. Sweet, we actually got a match. Budget Ninjas taking down Elementals. Or, I guess this is more of a Blink deck than Elementals since they're not playing the Elemental Tribal stuff, but either way. Alright, let's get to the next one. Alright, final round with Budget Ninjas. We won the die roll again. I'm very pleased now because we finally got a match win. Our rounds 1 and 2 were pretty close. We got at least one of the games on each of those. Round 3 against Dredge, predictably wasn't great. We're playing against a Giganta deck. God, I hope this isn't... Actually, Affinity and Tron are both terrible for us, aren't they? We got a mulligan since we only have 1 land and it's an island, so it's not even a duel. All right, land, that's fine. We have Fairy Seer. Do we get rid of Silver Fur Master, Fatal Push, or an Infiltrator? If they're playing Tron, Fatal Push is bad. If they're playing Affinity, Fatal Push is also kind of bad still. So I think I just get rid of Fatal Push and hope that terrible things don't happen to me. They could also be a... Well, actually, they could also be a Prowess deck or something. And in that scenario, any situation's bad. So we're definitely keeping. Let's get rid of... Let's get rid of Silver Fur Master and keep all the draw. Hopefully we'll be able to snowball with this. We can go turn one we can go turn one Watery Grave Fairy Seer, scry some, turn two Drowned Catacomb, Ingenious Infiltrator. Doesn't seem that bad. It at least is the curve that we kind of want with this deck. This deck would be significantly better with a set of Force of Negations in it, just because you want to tap out so bad during your turn and you have so many blue cards anyway. Like if we could just reliably draw a million cards with ninjas on our turn and then pass the turn and be able to counter things without even having mana up, I think that would make... I think that's what would actually make this deck kind of busted. So the non-budget version of it, I think, would be pretty viable. Clearwater Pathway, Silver Fur Master. I think we want the land. I don't know if we want the Lord, but I think we kind of want it. If our creature gets killed, we're going to want to play Silver Fur Master next turn. So I think I want to go Clearwater second from the top, Silver Fur on top. And we have another land drop for this turn anyway, so hopefully that doesn't matter. All right, Moment of Truth. What's our opponent playing? Opponent's playing Affinity. Okay. Opponent plays Shadow Spear, plays Memnite. Passes. We'll play Drowned Catacomb. There's an argument for wanting to Fatal Push Memnite here, but I think drawing extra cards is better. And maybe our opponent will just wind up, like, equipping things to Memnite and then still getting blown out by that. Return Fairy Seer, draw a card. All right. Let's see how this game goes. I do like Affinity a lot, but... Huh. Okay, our opponent's playing something weird. Our opponent is playing a bunch of vehicle enablers, so they are doing a spicy Neon Dynasty thing at least. That makes me kind of want to save Fatal Push for Consulate Dreadnought, because I assume they're going to try to animate that and then equip Shadow Spear to it. And I'm kind of okay with that. Let's play Clearwater Pathway. Attack you, see if you want to block with Frogmite. If they do, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. We're getting some card advantage either way. We draw Drown in the Lock. Let's play Fairy Seer. We scry. Conclave to the bottom, Watery Grave on top. And I think I just want to leave up interaction and pass. Because now we have Drown in the Lock or Fatal Push this turn. And since we don't really know what our opponent's playing, we might need to counter something in the near future. Opponent plays Memnite. That's fine. Opponent plays an island. 2 cards left in their hand. They could refuel here with a Thought Monitor if they wanted to. They play Sojourner's Companion. Okay. Sojourner's Companion definitely complicates things, and they play Mobilizer Mech. What in the fuck? Okay. So we are going to be killing Consulate Dreadnought this turn. Opponent crews 3. Leaves an untapped Memnite for whatever reason. Animates Dreadnought. Okay. Opponent goes to combat. They have 0 cards in hand. The combination of Shadow Spear and Sojourner's Companion is kind of complicating things for us. But we get rid of their big boy at least. Them having a lot of lifelink could be a pain in the ass. But we have a Lord, so that's nice. And we get to draw 2 this turn. The question is if I want to play the Lord first, or... I probably want to play the Lord first. Just to get a little extra damage in. Silver Fur Master. Our opponent doesn't... Well, our opponent can crew Mobilizer Mech, actually, so I should be aware of that. Let's... play a Fairy Seer. I'm glad I didn't attack with a Fairy Seer into that. That would be very sad. Spellstutter Sprite, Drowned Catacomb. Bottom and bottom. Tapped Watery Grave. Pass the turn. Alright, we have a bit better of a board now. We want to draw removal so we can get rid of this. We need to get something else off the board so we can drown in the lock to kill their flying vehicle. Opponent still does not equip Shadow Spear and go to combat yet. They really need to Shadow Spear up Sojourner's Companion, I think, and start attacking with that. They play Nettle Cyst. That's spooky. Yeah, Nettle Cyst is a pain in the ass. We have 2 flyers now, so I think we attack with both so we can get some extra draws in with Ingenious Infiltrator. Because that way the attack... That way us just losing a card to the attack isn't actually a card disadvantage, since we're drawing 2 from it. That's fine. And then we're also going to trigger Revolt in case we draw Fatal Push, which could be nice. Drawing like land Fatal Push I think would be really good, because then we can drown the lock something, Fatal Push something, and then move on. Probably drown the locking here eventually, and probably Fatal Pushing this. Play Infiltrator. Switch out with Fairy Seer. We will draw 2. Swamp. Inquisition. No cards in our opponent's hand. Inquisition's pretty dead. We can replay Fairy Seer. Still leave up Drown the Lock. Inquisition bottom. Land bottom. We need removal. Or we need one of our larger payoff ninjas, I think. Pass the turn. Yeah, our opponent has a Nettle Cyst and also a way to give Trample / Lifelink now, so that's very, very concerning. If they draw a land, I think it's reasonable to assume that they're going to move them both to Sojourner's Companion, but our opponent's kind of played it weird so far, so I'm not certain. Alright, opponent's just going to Shadow Spear up the Germ, so we're going to kill the Germ and hopefully they can't re-equip these this turn. Opponent goes to combat. Do I care about Sojourner's Companion? I'll probably kill it. But I have to... I mean... I would lose an Ingenious Infiltrator, but I have another one, and it gets rid of their big boy that I kind of have a hard time dealing with otherwise. Yeah, let's just get it off the board. Kill the germ. Companion down. We lose an Ingenious Infiltrator, but that's not really the end of the world. We still want a Fatal Push so we can get rid of Mobilizer Mech. They have another Sojourner's Companion. Now it feels bad. We draw Ninja of the Deep Powers. What do we do with this information? So the issue is, like we can attack, but our stuff just gets blocked by Mobilizer Mech because we don't have the right removal. So we just play Infiltrator and pass, I guess. Make our board a bit larger. We're gonna lose to this Shadow Spear if we give them too much time though, and we're giving them plenty of time at this point. Just by not drawing more removal. So, I did prepare for Affinity. I have 2 Hurkyl's Recalls in the sideboard, so we're not completely dead to them. Plague Engineer also probably comes in. Spell Pierce, probably not. But Plague Engineer on Construct doesn't seem bad. Actually, maybe it is bad. We'll see. And I haven't seen Urza Sagas from them yet, but I assume Spreading Seas is good. They might be playing a budget build just without Urza Saga, though. Yep. Alright, so they're equipping Nettle Cyst instead of Shadow Spear here. That's kind of fine. Yep. Opponent does not attack. We draw Fatal Push. That's fantastic news. Alright, so we can attack with Fairy Seer. They crew up Mobilizer Mech, and we kill it. And then we put Ninja of the Deep Powers in and draw 3 cards. And deal 3 to our opponent. That doesn't seem bad. The amount of trouble we have with just things CMC 5 and above is definitely an issue with this deck. Alright. Put in Ninja of the Deep Powers, draw some cards. Oh yeah, it cost 1 less because of Silver Fur, that's kind of sweet. Alright, we draw 3. Draw a card. Alright, always yield. Thousand Face Shadow is interesting. That could be pretty sweet. We'll draw a card. We draw Higger. That's also interesting. Let's play Pathway. Play Fairy Seer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they weren't about to kill us anyway, Higger would be pretty sweet, but the issue is that they have lifelink, and they're going to be able to hit us for a bunch with lifelink, so we're probably just dead. But Higger being able to grant unblockable would have been great. How's this read? It can copy any attacking creature, not just one that's unblocked. That's good. Opponent hits us for 13 and gains 13. We take it, unfortunately. If there was a ninja that gave lifelink, that would be pretty nice. How do we get back in this game? Is there a way that we can pressure them into blocking with all their guys? Does that even shrink Sojourner's Companion enough? I don't think it does. They move Shadow Spear over to Frogmite. Okay. We draw Creeping Tar Pit. Yeah, Hager cannot get a removal source for us, unfortunately. So I think we're just dead. Because this is gonna have trample. Yeah, let's concede. Not give our opponent more information about our spicy one-ofs. I don't think that they're playing... I don't think that they're playing Urza's Saga. It might still be worth bringing in like 2 Spreading Seas just to be sure, but I really don't think that they're playing it. So I'm gonna see what I want to take out. They gotta have Thought Monitors in their deck somewhere, I assume. Let's take out Higger. Let's take out... Ioki seems okay. Fatal Push was fine. Spellstutter Sprite seems okay. Things based on CMC are kind of bad against them, but we need some amount of removal and counter magic. Biting Palm Ninja is probably not worth it. Mistblade Shinobi can at least make them pick up their 4/4s. So maybe that's why we keep it. Or bring it in, rather. And we can get rid of... Thousand Face Shadow, since they have a bunch of flyers that can block. Is it worth bringing in Plague Engineer? Probably not. And I don't... I suspect that they're on a budget deck, so I don't think that Spreading Seas is worth it. If we see Urza Sagas and we somehow win this game anyway, I'd definitely bring it in. But we kind of just want to get Hurkyl's Recall and have that be the way that we win this game. We will take the play. Come on, Hurkyl's Recall in the opening hand. Hooray! We will keep. Alright, so we can go turn 1, Creeping Tar Pit, go. Turn 2, land, hold up Spellstutter Sprite. Turn 3, maybe Ninjutsu. And play Fairy Conclave. That seems fine. Creeping Tar Pit, go. Hopefully our opponent's hand is kind of clunky again. I don't think this deck has... I mean, we have Hurkyl's Recall, so we can kind of make them stumble on it, but I don't think we have a decent course of action against Affinity Nut hand. And the issue with Hurkyl's Recall, of course, is they can just kind of play it again the next turn if they can play everything for free on turn 1. Opponent plays Welding Jar. We don't have direct artifact destruction, so that's just going to stop a creature from getting killed. Play an island, pass the turn. We might be able to get like a Mimnite or something with Spellstutter Sprite, or maybe one of their vehicles. I'll take what I can get because I really want to put Infiltrator into play this turn, or this next turn rather. Opponent plays Mobilizer Mech. That's a pain in the ass. We can't counter that currently. Plays a Frogmite, that's a pain in the ass. Plays another Frogmite, ugh. Alright. Is it worth playing Hurkyl's Recall now? I don't think so. I think I should wait a bit longer. I can play tapped Fairy Conclave, pass the turn. I definitely want to get them in their instep if I can help it with Hurkyl's Recall, but I'd rather wait until they've committed a bit more turns into developing their board. Or until we have a more threatening board to where we're going to be able to attack in with Infiltrator and definitely get in with it. Sojourner's Companion, yep. Opponent Cruise. I think I just want to Fatal Push this to have it be done with. Yep. Push you, take 4. See if our opponent has a counter spell. I'd rather them counter... Oh yeah, they have Welding Jar. I'm a dumbass. That makes their hand less explosive for Hurkyl's Recall at least, so that's nice. And I think next turn is Hurkyl's Recall time. Opponent plays another Sojourner's Companion. Okay. Hopefully they play a land before they go to combat. That'd be pretty sweet. Play a Swamp, Inquisition you, maybe get a counterspell. Darksteel Citadel, okay. So because we know about the Darksteel Citadel, I think there's a decent chance that they're going to play it out before attacking. And that would be amazing. I'm going to risk them drawing a counterspell. Yep, opponent plays a land. So that worked out great. Because I want maximum payoff from this Hurkyl's Recall. Alright. Put all your board back in your hand. Cool, cool. You're going to discard the hand size at least a little bit. Sweet. We can ninjutsu in Infiltrator with Fairy Conclave, so I'm probably going to do that. Because I want to start connecting. Hopefully we can draw into the other Hurkyl's Recall. I think that's the best chance we have of winning the game from here. Opponent discarded a Frogmite and a Sojourner's Companion. Okay. Play a land. Animate Conclave. Go to combat. Attack you. Yes. Ninjutsu. Pick up Conclave. And hopefully we start drawing more good stuff. Fatal Push is decent. We really want other Hurkyl's Recall or more Ingenious Infiltrator effects. Drawing our Fallen Shinobi would also be sweet. God, our opponent got a bunch of stuff. Okay. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Opponent concedes. That was a very premature concession. All right. I'm not going to complain about that. I kind of want Necromentia. But I'm not completely certain. It's probably worth getting rid of IOKs just because they're not that great against Affinity. Yeah, and we didn't see Urza Sagas again, so I think we're safe from that. So I'm going to put in a Plague Engineer. And maybe put Higur in instead of IOK also. Just because Higur getting Fallen Shinobi or Misplayed Shinobi seems pretty good. Maybe we can do something with that.
All right, game 3 against Affinity. Our opponent is on the play, and that's terrifying. Maybe we should have some more like wrath effects in the sideboard. Those could be decent. I'm pretty sure that if we were playing a non-budget version of this deck, we would have been able to win round 1 against Cascade, because not having fetch lands to activate Fatal Push is what really cost us that match, I think. Silver for Master, Fairy Seer, Drown in the Lock, Drown in the Lock. I think we have to mulligan this, because it doesn't have draw and it doesn't have Hercules, and we need at least one of those so we can try to get a Hercules recall off. We have a Necromentia, we have draw, we don't have a way to activate the draw yet. I think I'd rather keep this than go to 5, but this hand seems not very promising. I'm going to get rid of a land. And I'm going to hope that I draw a 1-drop to play on turn 1. Because if we can draw a 1-drop, we do have plenty of those. And if we can get in with it, we can start drawing cards and then we have something going on. So this hand could be good. That's not a 1-drop. Play tapped Watery Grave, pass the turn. Oh no. Our opponent did mulligan a bit. They mulliganed to 6, I think. Yeah. And they started with Misfault, Memnite, Memnite. If we draw Plague Engineer, naming Construct would be pretty good. Yeah, triple Memnite. Plague Engineer would be great. Opponent has a Thoughtcast. That's a bit unfortunate for us, but it is what it is. Hits us for 2. That's fine. It doesn't look like they have another land. We draw a 1-drop. Okay, we did want that, so I'll take it. Play Thousand Face Shadow. Pass the turn. What do we Necromentia? Do we get Nettle Cyst? Or do I get Sojourner's Companion? Or do I just draw a card and not worry about it right now? We'll see, I guess. If our opponent plays a flyer, we're definitely playing Necromentia. If not, I might lean towards drawing cards here, just to try to develop something and find Hercules Recall before it's too late. Springleaf Drum. Okay. So opponent has 5 Affinity, can cast 6 drops currently. Consulate Dreadnought. Okay. Maybe I Necromentia the way they have of crewing things, the Mobilizer mech. Because that one's been a pain in the ass just because it has flying too. I will not block. Let's see what we draw. We draw a Watery Grave. So they could mobilize their mech, but they could also just play a Sojourner's Companion and then be able to crew Consulate Dreadnought. So it's not the best. So maybe I do just draw cards here. Because then I can also replay the Thousand Face Shadow at least. And hopefully get closer to having... Hopefully get closer to having a Hercules Recall. Because Hercules Recall is the real way we win this. Fairy Seer. I think I played that instead of Thousand Face Shadow here. Play Clearwater Pathway. Play Fairy Seer. Please show us a Hercules Recall. Neither of those is a Hercules Recall. Changeling Outcast could be good, but I'd rather just keep digging for one. Alright. Alright. It might have been correct to keep the Changeling Outcasts. I leaned against it because they are playing Sagas. Alright. I could have sworn that they were going to be a budget deck. That's unfortunate. And they had the Mobilizer mech too. Alright, come on, Hercules Recall. We're getting whapped for 7 this turn. Apparently not. They want to keep up blocking with Fairy Seer instead, apparently. All right. So I think I need to Necromentia Shadow Spear. Let's see what we draw. I guess. We draw Fatal Push. That's not bad. Opponent played a Sojourner's Companion. What does Fatal Push mean for us? Fatal Push means we can get in, draw 2. And we just want Hurkyl's Recall, so I guess that's fine. Because I can Fatal Push the Mobilizer mech now. And they can still crew Dreadnought, but it's a bit more of a pain in the ass. Yeah. Attack with Fairy Seer. We're going to put a Ninja of the Deep Hours into play. Fatal Push the mech. Okay. Opponent does not block because it has flying. We're going to draw 2 with Ninja of the Deep Hours. And we're going to cross our fingers really hard. Spellstutter Sprite. Fairy Conclave. Not what we were looking for. Shotgun Watery Grave. Fairy Seer, Scry 2 again. We're digging a lot. Silver Fur Master, Drown in the Lock. Drown in the Lock gets rid of the Consulate Dreadnought, so I kind of lean towards keeping it here. Silver Fur Master is also decent. But I really want Hurkyl's Recall is the issue. Okay. So Dreadnought is an issue, and Drown the Lock can deal with that. I probably have to put Master on the bottom. Yeah, I think I have to put Master on the bottom, Drown the Lock on top. Drown the Lock can also get rid of another Mobilizer mech now, which could save us some time. They're probably just going to activate Saga this turn. But we'll see what happens. I really just hope that opponent plays Frogmite. Opponent's going to get in for some amount this turn for sure. Attacks for 4, no blocks. If we're going to Necromentia, we need to Necromentia sooner rather than later. Because our opponent's going to be able to get Shadow Spear. On the other hand, we get to draw a couple more cards with Ingenious Infiltrator. So we might be able to hit Hurkyl's Recall finally. And that's probably the best line we have of actually winning here. What's the other line? The other line is we go Necromentia, play a tapped land. Maybe play Thousand Face Shadow just for no value. That at least saves us some amount of time. The issue is that we're going to have to block and kill things too. We won't be able to Drown in the Lock this turn if we do that. What gives us the most draws towards... What gives us the most draws towards actually getting Hurkyl's Recall? We can get 2 draws this turn and Scry 2 again, or if we wait, we play Thousand Face Shadow, we Necromentia our opponent. The next turn we might be able to get in for more, but how much do we have to block is the issue.
Yeah, the issue is even if we Necromentia away the Shadow Spear, we have to block our opponent's stuff. If we don't Necromentia Shadow Spear, they have to choose between making another boy and Shadow Spearing at least. But if they Shadow Spear on Sojourner's Companion, they definitely get in with it. Oh god, this is complicated. I think... Alright, I think I'm leaning towards just getting jiggy with it this turn and hoping to get Hurkyl's Recall. Alright, let's go to combat. Not gonna attack on the ground because they can block with an Urza Saga token with about infinity power and toughness. So we're just getting in with Fairy Seer. Gonna swap that out for an Infiltrator. Gonna draw 2 and cross our fingers really fucking hard. Alright, come on deck. We have 2 Hurkyl's Recalls. We've looked at like 15 cards trying to find it, and we've scryed a bunch too. Come on, Hurkyl's Recall. Alright. So we're signaling pretty hard. We're gonna signal pretty hard here by not playing out Fairy Seer, but I might Drown in the Lock a token. And I might... We'll see what happens. Alright, we need to try to hit our other Hurkyl's Recall here is the thing. Opponent makes a boy. I'm going to... Do I just Hurkyl's Recall now? If they have a counterspell, it's not correct. But if it is, it saves us from the counterspell at least. All right, let's gamble. Come on, Hurkyl's Recall, do it for us. The issue is they're going to be able to block with Mem Knights again anyway. That's a ridiculous pain in the ass here. If our opponent makes a boy, I don't think we're dead. Our opponent is not making a boy. They're playing correctly. Unfortunate for us. Get Shadow Spear. Opponent equips to their big boy. Alright, if they have Metallic Rebuke, we're pretty much dead. If they don't have Metallic Rebuke... So the question is if I Drown in the Lock here, or if I Hurkyl's Recall. I think I Drown in the Lock here, hope for the best. No counterspell, please, for the love of God. Okay, no counterspell. I will take 4. I'm gonna Hurkyl's Recall on my turn, because then that gives us the best chance of drawing a second one, and it also means we get to get in for a bunch for free. Opponent plays an Urza Saga, that's fine. Sucks that it's a non-artifact land, but you know how it is. Plays another Dreadnought, that's fine. They don't have any cards in hand. Alright. I think we might be home free now. Because we get to go... I could... It's not worth necromentioning something that they have in their hand for sure. Hurkyl's Recall you. Go to combat. Attack, attack, attack. See what we get. We're gonna draw a fuck ton of cards. Always yield. We drew Plague Engineer. That's fantastic. Okay. Yes, I will draw one more. So, Memnite is a construct, yes. I'm going to look at my Memnite next to me right now. Yes, it's a construct. Okay. I have a Memnite on the table. Plague Engineer. So now they can't play their hand out again. Construct. I think that did it for us. Holy shit. That was a very satisfying match against Affinity. Holy fuck. All right. I'm honestly pretty pleased with how this deck did. We wound up going 2-3. I plan on... I'm most likely going to do a non-budget version of this deck, probably within a month. I'm not certain though. Let's see. What do I think I would change? I mean, as far as going non-budget, the mana base can obviously be improved. I'm probably going to put in the fast lands from Scars of Mirrodin and some fetch lands. Other than that, unfortunately we didn't get to see the Higger thing. It's probably just too cheeky. I saw it in a Legacy Ninjas deck and it seemed pretty sweet, but probably just playing like 2 Fallen Shinobi as the top end is correct. The sideboard could possibly be improved a bit. I'm interested to see what you guys think. If there's any particular like ninjas that you think I'm missing out on that I should be playing, maybe I should be playing Salt Ice so I can play Ice Fang Kotal in the deck, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey everyone, Shoe Nice again. Well, basically, go subscribe to Tezzey's YouTube channel, and for those who made it to the end of the video, thank you!